Before we get started, as I always do, I wanted to go ahead and let you know there's one more of the WACAC, the Western Association for College Admission Counseling College Fair, coming up on April 19th. And they'll be talking about all of the different items on here, from financial workshops to UC and Cal State applications to having different colleges there to do presentations, as well as talking a little bit about writing that college essay. For this information and all the information, I encourage you to go to the Scripps Ranch High School Foundation website. There you can find the virtual college fair where we will be having this recording of the presentation available there later today, as well as all of the presentations that we've done this fall and spring. And then also for our College Corner, which has basically our bulletin board of different events that are coming up. I encourage you to go ahead and check that out as well. When you get to the College Fair, this is what it looks like. And this gives you an idea of some of the different videos that are available. Next week, we'll be hearing from Muhlenberg College, Sacred Heart University, St. Louis University, and Johnson & Wales. And I hope you can join us. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hand it on over, and we can get started with our presentation.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for doing this, and thanks students, parents for being here. We're going to talk about the college search. We'll do a couple quick introductions. Vanessa, give them your 60-second overview.
Hi, everyone. So glad you're here. I'm Vanessa Aya with the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, or UCCS. Been with the university for quite a while, about 21 years now. Started as an advisor, but for the last 11 years been regionally based in California, working with students from Western states like California. So glad you're here.
Well, thank you. And I'm Gary B. I do work for the University of New Mexico, but like Vanessa, I don't work on campus. I work remotely. And so it's nice that I'm based in California. I get to work with the California students. I work with a lot of San Diego students. We've got hundreds of applications, over 1,000 this year, again, from just California. But Vanessa and I are both admission counselors. And so we're familiar with the changes that happen as you're doing this college search process. Many of you, I know, are probably stressing a little bit. Some of you are probably stressing a lot of bit. Some of you I know you're excited about getting back on campus and being in person. Well, I always say it takes two things to go from stress to success: ask questions, follow directions. Now that sounds easy, but I usually get asked, hey, what questions and who do I ask? Well, if you ask the right people, the right questions will help you find the perfect college and even help you pay for it. Look, we all know it costs a lot to go to college, but it's certainly worth it. Every college has an admissions office. Vanessa and I work for the Office of Admissions. Look, we work at different colleges. Every college has the admissions office. I've never seen the Office of Rejection on any campus. Now, not every student's going to get admitted, but if you ask questions and follow directions, the admission counselors will help you find that perfect college. Now, Vanessa and I are part of a group called RAC, or Regional Admissions. That means we work for out-of-state colleges, but we live here in California. That's our website. As a matter of fact, we've got some events coming up in the near future. So students, you can check that website. You can email me or Vanessa, and we'll get you connected to some of these other virtual events so you can meet other college admission counselors. You have questions, ask the admission counselors. We want to get you admitted. Our job is to help you with this amazing process. A student once said, hey, you can't spell. I said, no, I'm here to take the stress out of the process. Hey, many of you are juniors, but in 3 months, you're seniors. I stopped for just a second, let that sink in. Seniors, you're done if there's any seniors here, but maybe you're still looking. I know we're still taking applications. Vanessa, still taking applications. So class of 2023, you're in the right place. 2 reasons to go to college: growth and learning. And one thing that we always say, the further you go, the more you'll grow. Look, we represent out-of-state colleges, and I'm going to talk about why out-of-state colleges are looking for California students. And juniors, sophomore, freshmen, you've started early. You've missed no deadlines, which is fabulous. Now, I know some of you are eager and excited about the college search and even getting back to being in person on campus. Probably some of you are nervous about the college search. I bet some of you are probably both. If you're worried about the ACT, SAT, ask admission counselors. We'll tell you whether it's needed. Colleges developed new policies during the pandemic. I call them pivot policies. Look, some colleges have gone to test free. That means even if you submit the scores, if you're able to take the test safely, colleges won't look. Other colleges are still required. I'm pretty sure that Vanessa and I are both test optional. We were for this year. We will continue in the future. Test optional means you have the option of taking the test, checking with the admission counselors, and seeing if it's a good score for that school. Different colleges have different levels of what's a good score. A good score for Colorado Springs might be a great score for New Mexico or vice versa. In other schools, they don't even look at your score. Ask, all right? But students, you're not a test score, you're a person. And that's why the admission counselors want to start to connect with you. Connect with us. Ask us, hey, is an essay required? Not every school requires an essay. The Cal States don't require an essay. So ask, and we'll tell you whether it's required or it's an option. You can write it, you can send it, it may make a difference. Don't be worried about getting admitted to college. It's your number one fear. Ask questions, follow directions. Your parents' number one fear is that you will be admitted to college, and it will cost a lot. Students, it's not a matter if or when, but where. If you're a junior, by this time next year, you're just waiting to hear and make that decision. You have till May of your senior year to decide where. Lots of options. I'm going to talk about some of the options. Now, since we all live in California, we know the whole world loves California, and here's basically why. Babes, Babe, Beverly Hills Beaches, Boys, Beyonce, Bieber. Everything starts with a B, including our beautiful traffic. Now, I didn't get to enjoy this on the way down to San Diego today. I live in Ventura, and I'm used to, and I think you guys probably know what freeway that is. All of them. No, I'm kidding. It's the 5. And usually I was going 4 or 5 miles an hour for 4 or 5 hours trying to find San Diego. And then I'd find all these students. Well, there are close to 40 million people that live in California. There's 1 million students in the San Diego area that are going to be putting pressure in the next 12 years on the system. Now, I know not everybody's going to be going to college. Now, the real question is, how many high school seniors do we have in California? Did you pick answer A, 500,000? That's 500,000. That's a lot of high school seniors. So let's talk about the options. Community college. There's 116 community colleges. Look, you could start at a community college with the intent to transfer. You could go straight to a 4-year. There's 23 Cal States. Now, juniors, you can't apply quite yet, and seniors, you've missed the deadline. But next fall, October 1st, is when the application opens. These 23 campuses are one of the largest college systems in the world. There's millions of students that apply to these colleges, and only a handful get selected. But if you miss the deadlines, you definitely won't be selected. Check the websites. You'll see the new information as colleges made those pivots. Find the connection to that admission counselor. Do you see yourself at a UC? In order to go, you must have at least a 3.0. The higher the GPA, the more competitive. The UCs are not going to be looking at the ACT, SAT next year. So if you're a junior, doesn't mean don't take the test, but check with the colleges and they'll tell you if there's a benefit for you to have taking the AC. They're going to look at extracurricular. They're going to look at personal insight questions, and there's 1 month to apply, November 1st. Here's the dates and deadlines. August 1st, the UC application opens. You have 1 month to submit, and then in March. So if you have friends that are seniors, they're just finding out now whether if they applied to a UC that they've been admitted. Lots of things come into play, lots of factors. Your GPA, your coursework, your special achievements and talents, the personal insight questions. Every college says we admit people, we don't admit numbers. There's 75 independent or private schools, colleges in California. So these are the options in California for students. 116 community colleges, 23 Cal State, 9 UCs, 75, so 200 options, lots of options, but out of state could be great. Don't wait. 3,000 400 options. I know you hear out of state and you start thinking expensive. Well, guess what? Many colleges have programs to bring down the cost, and one of them is called the WUI, the Western Undergraduate Exchange. Students in California can go to Colorado or New Mexico and pay reduced tuition. Every college will tell you if we've got this program and what it takes to get that kind of money. The special WUI tuition. You're a resident of California, you leave, you're a non-resident, but Vanessa and I both have WUI tuition at our colleges. Students from California are leaving by the thousands to go out of state. Why? Because there's so much pressure and too few options. Basically, here's how the WUI works. If you're a resident, let's say the cost, these are examples, would be about $8,000 for tuition. But as a WUI tuition, you pay maybe a little bit more, but certainly much less than a non-resident. Check with WUI colleges. You got to get admitted, ask questions, follow directions. Here's another website for students to go to see which colleges have the special WUI tuition. It's 15 states in the West, Colorado, New Mexico. We both have this program and our colleges do. You could be eligible at one school and competitive at another. Let's start thinking about the college search. Vanessa, how are students going to start to narrow down that 3,600 list to a handful?
All right, so it's tempting to just go in there, hit Google, type into Google top reasons why students choose their college, but we chose the top 5 for y'all. So of course, location, location, location. Where do you want to live? What do you like to do? Spending free time. It's been interesting this year for me working and then also walking alongside with my oldest son, who's a senior, as he's been going through this college search. So for him, location kind of did matter. He wanted to be, close to the water, maybe the beach. We're from Hawaii, so grandparents are back there, so that was a possibility. He's also looking at the size of the cities. Is it rural, suburban, urban, metro? Rural, not so much for him, but maybe for you, that's something that you might consider. Let's see. So you can see that we've got lots of choices. And then when it comes from shifting over to location, we also want to consider size. And you might be surprised by what you think you might gravitate to in terms of size. My son, he goes to a large public high school here in California. And so I thought, and I think he thought too, that he would gravitate to kind of those larger public universities. And as he's reaching his decision of where to go, and this is based off of being able to visit pre-COVID, one of the schools that is standing out for him is a school that's a private, small, 2,000 student school. And that was very surprising to me. So that's something, again, you might think one way, but after you visit, whether it's virtual or in person, maybe not. Of course, costs, that's a big deal for me as a parent. And so parents and students, I would encourage you to have that conversation with one another as to what your budget is. I have 2 other children after my senior. And so of course, I'm gonna be very mindful of their costs and making sure there's enough money for the other 2 after he starts college. Let's see. Of course, you want to get accepted. With the mixture of schools that my son applied to, he got into most. Unfortunately, he got denied to 2 and waitlisted at 1. And so you got to make sure wherever you want to go to, you get accepted. You can't just roll up to the school and think they're going to just let you in. And then finally is that whole idea of it just felt right. And again, it's not me telling him what feels right to him, it's him. And it's you. You're gonna, again, start looking at these different colleges and universities and researching them. And then hopefully if you get a chance to visit, then you'll have ones that you're like, yeah, definitely. So there's that whole idea of fit. And for us as college admissions counselors, we think that you should look at these 3 things when determining if a college is right for you. You want to make sure it matches you academically. And so that, they have certainly the majors that you're offered, you have the qualifications. If we want it to be a social fit. What kinds of activities are offered at the university if you're looking for Greek life and that's important to you, make sure they have that. Maybe you need to get away to the forests with friends and go hiking the mountains, and if that's important to you, definitely consider that. And then I've already touched upon the financial fit and making sure it fits your wallet. Um, so there's a few different things, of course, that go into the cost of attendance. Many students think it's just tuition and fees, and that certainly is a big part of it. Know that, of course, tuition and fees will differ depending on if you are a resident, so you'll pay in-state tuition, or if you're a non-resident, you'll pay out-of-state. If you're looking at a private university, no matter whether you're from that state or from outside of that state, y'all will pay the same as far as tuition and fees. The second thing that takes up, of course, your bill that the university will bill you is housing and dining, not room and board. As Gary often will say, he's like, it's not prison. And so housing and dining is more what we think. And I would encourage you to also compare what that looks like, what you're getting for your dollar, because as I look at my son's different choices, the housing and dining at this school is community bathrooms, but yet for the same price, he can go over here and get a suite style type of living situation. So you might want to, if again, living is kind of a big deal in terms of, you're going to be there for 4 years. So you want to make sure that they meet your standards. Books and supplies, that can vary depending on your major. I think of like our nursing students, they have clinical lab fees that they might have to pay for. And so that's something that you might want to consider. And then transportation, another important question, if you're planning to, if you were hoping to have your car with you at a college campus, then you'll want to ask that. Some don't allow that. If they don't, what kind of public transportation do they have? I went to school in Chicago for my undergrad many moons ago, but loved the L system. Like, it was super easy for me to, if I got bored on campus, the city was my playground. I could just jump on the L and be anywhere. So transportation costs. And then finally, the fun stuff. As again, Gary B always says, JJ and SB, Jamba Juice, Starbucks. Honestly, I feel like this is one of those underrated places that as a parent, I didn't appreciate, but I can appreciate my student asking admissions counselors, do you have a Chipotle nearby? It doesn't have to be on campus, but like, I kind of need my burrito fix from Chipotle. But again, so don't be afraid to ask those kinds of questions. In and out, if that's important. We've got In and Out in Colorado Springs now. So yeah, so that's the 5 costs that go into college. To wrap up, here is a nice chart that Gary B put together in terms of the various costs if you choose to stay in California and live on campus. And you can see it ranges anywhere from $11,000 per year for that total cost of attendance versus the California privates all the way up to almost $50,000 a year. That hurts me to say that out loud. Out of state living on campus, that can vary too. Again, depending on public, private, and then out of state living on campus as well can vary. Cost of living can certainly vary.
And those are each year students. So that's a 1 year. And again, there could be a small increase in your tuition and fees. And I know when you see those numbers, your parents see those numbers, they say, OMG, oh my Gary B, that's crazy. It's so much money, it's not even funny. I don't know, if I got that much dough, if I can go. Well, the money's not going to fall from the sky, but let's talk financial aid. And I'm a financial aid expert. So I'm going to sum it up quickly. It's either need-based, merit, or both. Merit in a single word is talent. And in my experience, everybody has some talent. Some people have multiple talents. Look, I was gifted with the math gene. I wish I was a better public speaker. It would help me with this job. But whatever you're good at, bring it to college and we'll help you with scholarship. There are grants, research grants, not just need-based. Small loans are available from colleges. And I think we all have heard of the great JOB program. That means jump out of bed and get to work. You guys have been working hard. If you're a junior, you've almost got 3 years of high school complete, and you and your family are going to help pay for college. Every college has scholarships. Start connecting with the admission counselors. Start looking for outside funds. Work with your college counselors. They can tell you about local corporations. And we're going to talk a little bit about the government money. The new administration promises there'll be more FAFSA money for students in the near future. So certainly, if I was a parent, I'd say we're going to do this in October 2021, because juniors, you're seniors in 3 months. In 6 months, you'll have your applications just about done. Hard to believe, but it goes quickly. Get the FAFSA submitted sooner than later. You're applying for need-based federal, state, and institutional. Colleges have need-based aid. Apply October every year. If you're a senior, you should already have this done. If not, it's not too late. You're going to fill out this form online. The government's going to give you an index, and that index colleges use to determine your need. Your need is based on your amount of resources, how much money you make, how much money your parents make, how much income. Now, grants, loans, and work study are need-based aid from the federal government to colleges to you. There's also state money. In California, we've got state money. And then Colorado, New Mexico, there's institutional aid as well as perhaps state money. Do the FAFSA early, October, November. You're applying for college, always be thinking about scholarships. Students, there's a lot of scholarship websites. I'd start, if I was a junior, if you did one college scholarship application a week from now to the end of the year, you'd have 12 scholarship applications out there. Start looking. You saw it cost $100,000 to go to Cal State over 4 years. You don't need to pay anybody. You've got resources. You've got the college admission counselors. Don't miss deadlines. There are junior-only scholarships. You will get a scholarship if you follow our direction. Apply. Be eager. Start looking. If your parents were in the military, you may have scholarship available through them. Every college will soon be open for tours. That's a given, right? I always said we're going to be on the screen till there's a vaccine. And soon, no more Zoom. We want you marching around campus. There's scholarships at every college. College fairs this spring, junior, sophomore, freshman, do the virtual fairs and start connecting with the admission counselors. I always say some final advice: be kind. Be kind to yourself, be kind to your family, be kind to each other, be kind to your counselors and teachers, and utilize your admission counselors. Vanessa, we've got about 2 minutes left. You want to give them just a quick snapshot about University of Colorado, Colorado Springs?
Yes, and so University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, we're a part of the all public research University of Colorado system. I get asked a lot from California students about our business program, our School of Engineering, as well as our Helen and Arthur E. Johnson Bethel College of Nursing and Health Sciences. We are a WUI school. Not all of the University of Colorado campuses participates in the Western Undergraduate Exchange Program. So we do have a bit of a reduced tuition rate. And on that screen, you'll just see a few examples of some of the scholarships that we offer. And then finally, the last shot or this last slide is what it looks like now. We just got some snow dumped on us. I had a snow delay the other day, which cracks me up because I'm in California, but that's okay. Anyway, it's beautiful. Our students enjoy being outside, very much like California students. They like being active, but in Colorado, they remain active in all 4 seasons. Thanks, Gary.
Perfect. And I'll talk about where I went to college, the University of New Mexico. And I always ask students, what do you know about the University of New Mexico? And I always hear UNM, unfortunately not much. So let's start with location. UNM, University next to mountains. We're in Albuquerque. Flat and hot, we're not. We're like Denver. We're similar to Colorado Springs. We have over 200 majors. UNM, University of Numerous Majors. Largest hospitals in the state, UNM, University for Nursing and Medicine. Business, UNM, university with a number of management programs. Netflix is in Albuquerque, one of our partners. So you're probably thinking UNM, University for Netflix movies. And if you're just not sure, just think UNM, undecided no more, come explore, options galore. The COA is $35K, but that's not what you'll pay, no way. 3.0, you get big dough to help you go. Juniors can apply in June. It's a twofer. You're applying for admission and scholarship. Remember, apply in June, it's not too soon. Do it online, it'll save you time. Use your phone, do it at home, either way, the end of May. Then email me, Gary B, I'll waive the fee, I'll make it free. Send your transcript, we don't need a test, I'll do the rest. 3.0, big dough. Don't be a fool, stay in school, it's cool. Go to college, get the knowledge. Gary B, remember me when you're making that list. UNM, University not to be missed. All right, everybody, remember, ask questions, follow directions. All right, we're gonna stop sharing on that note and take your questions.
Thanks, Gary. That was great. And Vanessa, loved it. I have some questions. When we're talking about merit scholarships, does it require a separate application, or do colleges consider you directly for merit?
Depends on the school. So I think Gary B said his application for admission does both admission and scholarships, whereas, in comparison, Colorado Springs application for admission, once you're accepted, we send you a scholarship application to fill out.
Okay.
We do have some automatic, but then we also have ones that we need a little bit more information to see if you qualify.
Okay.
And even with the automatics, you can still stack on other scholarship. Like we have automatic through the university, but then there's departmental, the music department, the engineering department. Those are separate applications, separate scholarship applications. You're already in the engineering department automatically with some scholarship, get more, get more.
Fantastic. So you're saying the scholarships then can be stacked on top of one another. So they can add up to be a much larger sum. Also, should everyone complete the FAFSA, regardless of whether or not you think you're going to need financial aid? Yes.
I say yes, because you just don't know what might happen. And it's easier for us to flip if something happens, whether it's a job loss, something happens like a family loss. I had that happen with the California students a couple years ago, and we were able to readjust him much quicker than I think if he didn't have that in place.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and as I alluded to, that colleges have need-based aid. Every student from out of state this year that applied, an incoming freshman, will get $2,000 in housing allowance if they did the FAFSA. No FAFSA, we figured, well, I guess you got so much money, it's not needed. No, of course, we want to help students as much as possible. And the FAFSA, it doesn't mean you will get money, but every student that does FAFSA will at least qualify for a low interest loan.
Fantastic.
It takes a loan, but it's an option.
And is there an advantage to getting it in earlier?
Sure, it takes the stress out of the process.
Okay.
I would agree, because like in the case with my son, for example, he's not 18 yet. And so we filled out the FAFSA. So we kept getting back from the school like, oh, you didn't turn in your selective service. It's like, well, he's not 18 yet. Of course, he's not going to do that. And so he had to fill out special paperwork to be like, well, I don't know why I have to do this special paperwork. They have my birth date, but for whatever, that's their process. So better to do it earlier rather than later.
Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. And then also for WUI, are students automatically considered for that, or is there any special process for that?
At both Gary and my school, yes, it's automatic, but there are other WUI schools that it is not necessarily automatic.
Okay, so we just have to find out according to the college. All right.
Yes.
And again, WUI reduces tuition. There are other scholarships that can bring down or even cover that part of tuition, cover some of the WUI tuition, or housing or dining or books. So again, FAFSA, extra scholarship. There's no such thing as extra scholarship, right? Just
no. Can never
like
have
extra
enough,
money,
right? All right. Well, I just want to say a big thank you to both Gary and Vanessa. This was fantastic. We really appreciate your time being here, and hopefully we'll see everybody next week for the next Wednesday College series.
All right, reach
Thank
out to
you.
us. We'll be in
Happy St.
touch.
Patrick's Day.
All right,
Thank
how'd you
you.
know?